LGBT rights organizations. Wikipedia lists 65 active LGBT rights organizations in the United States, and that's only the national organizations, not including state-based organizations. The largest of the national organizations, perhaps the best known, is the Human Rights Campaign. This is their familiar logo, the blue and yellow equal sign. You may see cars with bumper stickers showing that, and you may not have even realized that that's the logo of the Human Rights Campaign, but that's what that is. Next, I just have a little bit of information about HRC. Their president is Chad Griffin, who was hired away from another organization a few years ago. And their finances, those of you who run nonprofit organizations, would you like to have an annual revenue of $41 million? That's for Human Rights Campaign. They have an affiliated foundation which takes in another $17.6 million. It's a total of $59 million in 2015 for the Human Rights Campaign. Now, the Southern Poverty Law Center is an organization that was founded by a man named Morris Dees. Morris Dees, this is a picture of him. He's an interesting man. He made a fortune back in the 1960s in direct mail marketing. He was one of the first earliest geniuses of direct mail marketing. He later became famous politically as a fundraiser for George McGovern. And, but then he founded this organization called the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, they gained their reputation originally fighting against racist groups like the Ku Klux Klan and the neo-Nazis. But those groups have diminished in their size and numbers and influence, and so Morris Dees needed a way to keep the money flowing in, and so they started going after other groups that were perhaps not in agreement with his left-wing politics, and labeling groups such as anti-gay groups, like Family Research Council, where I work, as hate groups. Now, I have argued, and some people treat this as a quasi-official status. You know, people say that we're a certified hate group. This is how the Weekly Standard depicted Morris Dees a couple of years ago as the king of fearmongers because of how he talks about this. Now, I call the Southern Poverty Law Center a mean but not so lean fundraising machine. Their 2014 gross receipts, $79 million, $8.9 million over expenses. There's another thing for you people who run nonprofits to be jealous of. And their total assets, this is just as of a year ago, $338 million in the bank. Okay, that's the Southern Poverty Law Center for you. So then I thought maybe we're talking about cultural institutions within our society. If you don't recognize that, that's Harvard University, the seal of Harvard. The next one, that's Yale. That's their seal. Just not to have anything against Harvard or Yale, although I will mention that the United States Supreme Court, even before Justice Scalia died, 9 members on the United States Supreme Court. Did you know that every single one of them has at least either an undergraduate or a graduate degree from one of these 2 schools, Harvard and Yale? Talk about a lack of diversity. Now, another cultural institution is the entertainment industry. In doing my research for this, I looked at Out Magazine. Out Magazine is sort of People magazine of the LGBT movement. And they publish a list every year, the Power 50, the most influential LGBT people in American culture. And fully half of the Power 50 most influential LGBT people are connected with the entertainment industry in one way or another. But when I got to read what the real topic, the paragraph describing the topic for today, it was about big business and the influence that the LGBT movement has in business now. This is just to represent business. That's the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange. And Now, the LGBT movement has had influence on business from a number of different directions. One way is from the outside in, with groups like the Human Rights Campaign pressuring them. And the Human Rights Campaign has something they publish each year, the Corporate Equality Index, where they rate different corporations. And corporations have become so solicitous of the LGBT movement that the HRC has had to increase their standards in order to make it so that it's harder for companies to reach the standards, because their original ones, so many made it. So, but there's also power from the top down. An increasing number of high-ranking corporate executives or wealthy individuals who are themselves lesbian, self-identified as lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. For example, the woman in this particular picture, she's a lesbian. Her name is Laura Ricketts. I don't know if any of you know who Laura Ricketts is. Her father founded Ameritrade and made a fortune doing that. Now, there's a reason why I started with this one. She's standing here with her brothers and father, I believe. And if you don't recognize the background, you might have seen it on TV last night. It's Wrigley Field, because Laura Ricketts is a co-owner of the Chicago Cubs.